Talking Shit with Michał is back. I am back. Today I'm gonna have a podcast from a series of basically breaking down my understanding, views, ideas. Obviously, the current situation upside down, new world order type of stuff. Of course, will be highlighted and will be basically within the subject of conversation. I kind of want to break down. So, for example, why I want to make this episode. So, basically, I just want to come clear because I'm pretty sure some people and probably a lot of people take me the wrong way. That I'm not sure if people think I'm going crazy because, on certain extent, I'm actually somewhat accurate with statements I'm making and things what I'm saying. But at the same time, though, if you look at the mainstream type of news type of thing, yeah, I'm going crazy because I'm pretty much going against most mainstream ideas. But basically, I want to break it down as well as it's possible for me to articulate myself why I am coming to somewhat crazy conclusions, and my perspective is the way it is. So, first of all, obviously, I am very skeptical, cynical type of person, and one of the reasons why I'm very skeptical and also cynical is because, for most part, in my life, from good and bad, like I went through spectrum of understanding of literally all sorts of emotions, from the happiest possible, like a childish benevolence, happiness type of thing, to basically suicidal, not even having any goals in life, nothing to do in life. And basically, I seen both polar opposites of existence. And also, I have been in the middle ground where I have too good, but I'm not motivated enough because I have too good, and it's also a mess. But so basically, I do have contrast of understanding. Although some people might think because I have a crazy perspective, I don't have a like a coherent thought process. And in all honesty, the reason why I'm going crazy in my opinion, you could disagree, you could agree, whatever. But in my opinion, the reason why I'm going crazy is because I actually overanalyze everything, and no matter if you believe the official story or not, it's obvious that the official story has holes in it, and that's basically that is why I'm speaking up about it, because to me it's obvious all this whole situation is full of double standards. And if you have basically, I don't know if everything, but in a huge way, almost everything, the situation we are in, it's basically all glued in together with double standards, with hypocrisies, and all that sort of stuff. And basically, people are basically going with the flow, with groupthink mentality. And I understand that many people will rather go with groupthink mentality. They will rather go with the mainstream instead of against it, because when you go against mainstream, you are facing, basically you are in danger of, let's say, mental scrutiny, being crazy. And overall, when you go against the stream, that you will feel a lot of resistance, and it takes a lot of work or perseverance, mental strength, to basically keep on going. Because you know in general, what I'm saying is, I'm not trying to attack nobody. I'm not trying to. Basically, I am on team people, team planet. I want the best for USA. I want the best for all countries. For example, like, I have a lot of things against China, but I also want the best things for China as well. as long as China, let's say, is not taking over the world. I don't really know if China is exactly taking over the world, but hypothetically speaking, let's say China is taking over the world and implementing their own philosophies and agendas into other people's culture, views, perspectives, and our future is going to look like possibly might look because of it like a communist type of regime. In that aspect, I might not be happy with China as a whole, but overall, I love any country out there. From Middle Eastern countries, African countries, Asian, Europe. It doesn't really matter. Like I'm team people, and I said this on one of the podcasts, but basically that's like the biggest point I have is that I'm not looking out for our. Basically, I'm looking out for the greater good, and for example, I will try not to talk about Corona as much as possible, but certain comparisons I have to make because basically it makes my points stronger and more pinpointed, I guess. So, for example, right, this idea that if everybody wears a mask, we're gonna save the world. You know, I could sound ignorant, but it's just like a fear tactic, and it's also like a showman argument. It's some sort of fallacy. It's an argument that, technically speaking, is possible to follow, but then at the same time, technically speaking, it's impossible to follow. And it's a kind of argument that whoever is making that argument, those people know it's not going to be followed. And even if it be followed 98%, they still can use those 2% of people as some sort of argument. You see, those people are destroying the world. And basically, they using like an empty so-called, so to say, because obviously if you want to argue about this point, there is a lot of for and against arguments, but let's say generalizing with the perspective of generalizing, in order to save the world, I don't know, like we need to wipe out the humanity. The mask is not really making the difference, and basically the humanity itself is making the difference. And the mask, I don't know, it's some sort of virtue type of thing, because we all know that mask can help, but it's not really making I'm pretty sure it's not making a difference. It is making a difference, I believe, if you are sick and you want to protect people from spreading the disease. And I guess it's making a difference if you are basically endangered, basically you are prone to getting COVID and dying, then I guess you should protect yourself as much as possible. But overall, in order to really save yourself from the virus, you need to wear a hazard suit. So basically, my whole point to it all is that a lot of things that they are telling us to do for our safety and for our good, it's literally virtue signaling type of stuff that, people that I guess do not decipher the whole picture, like the whole equation of this, they believe it. And like I'm not trying to fight nobody. You believe what you believe, I believe with what I believe, and I don't hate you for your beliefs. And I truly think, definitely, I should not be hated for my beliefs at all, regardless. And I'm not trying to be a victim or something like that. No, no, no. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm basically want to clarify, because also with this clarification, I just want to give people like a window to my mind, understanding, and perspective, and how am I coming up with a conclusion that I'm coming up with. So, long story short, and I'm not going to break down too many corona COVID hypocrisies and double standards and contradictions, because there is too many to cover, and I already covered for most part most of them. But I have to use some some examples just to highlight it. And so this whole situation, the idea is that we saving the world. But if we saving the world, and if we are so diligent at saving the world, yeah, Disclaimer, nobody's wearing a mask. That's why the world is falling apart. Do you really think that's the case? Like, seriously, let's be completely honest about it. Like, you be honest with yourself. Do you really think everybody wearing a mask is really making a difference? And if it's really, really making a difference, how huge is it? And please, you ask yourself that question because, from my perspective, it's more of a virtue type of thing and some sort of weird pretend game, like, oh, like I was saying with this hero, couch heroes type of thing. Yeah, it's somehow. That's another question. Don't you think it's way too easy to be a hero in this situation? Doesn't that sound and seem too convenient? Because I would never imagine for anyone to be a hero on a couch with a piece of cloth over their mouth, screaming and shouting, you know. And obviously, I am one of those people that I'm cynical and I am vocal about the situation, and somebody or many people could say I am screaming and shouting and I should shut the fuck up. But that's the thing. The reason is why am I speaking up is because all of this is not making a sense, and the official story tries to make a sense out of it, but to be honest, like my honest perspective, they only confusing people more and more, and they not trying to clear out anything. So that's another thing, that's another example. There's more and more confusion and very little solutions that would make sense. Like I was saying, inflation, a president that's not even there, all sorts of economical issues, rent type of stuff. The resources seem to be becoming more scarce, and there's all this sort of issue with trades, with containers living in and out. What I'm trying to say, if everybody's trying to help, how the fuck the situation is getting worse and worse? And that's as simple as we can go, and basically that's how my logic works. It's, to me, the bottom line is, how is everything operating and how is everything like, so basically everything must make sense to a degree. Basically, like, the story needs to add up. And as I've been saying from the very beginning, and now literally more than ever, story does not add up. And there's so many stories coming out, from things being a conspiracy now becoming completely not conspiracy, completely a truth, yada 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 yada. I don't want to make too many comparisons, but basically there's a lot of things that at the beginning of the virus was complete conspiracy, tinfoil hat stuff, and now it's basically factual, normal. And how that sort of double standard is okay. And basically, biggest reason, like, I noticed the hypocrisy of it all, and unfortunately, it seems that I could be wrong, that in general people do not want to face this harsh reality that basically, in one way or another, the human existence as we know it is shifting in a big way, and it does not have to be for sure a turmoil situation. But it does seem that all of this is indicating a turmoil situation. And like I've been saying from the beginning, I'm not about scaring people, but I am about speaking up. And basically, I just want to talk to people and also warn people because, like, a benevolent perspective on all of this is also counterproductive completely. In my opinion, the reason why we're getting worse and worse and certain restrictions getting worse, certain countries are like locking down some crazy style, it's even difficult to describe, and I don't even want to start describing it because I'm always, go too far with that sort of stuff. But what I'm saying is, you know it seems, technically speaking, if everybody wants to make this world a better place, why this world is not a better place? You know, this could sound stupid, but uh, if you take things as a default, every politician, every anchorman, every person, like maybe not every person, but most people that have huge companies, most influential people, tech gurus, tech people, Amazon, all this stuff, as an official story, as an official perspective, they basically say they want all the best for humans, environment, the market, yada 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 yada, all good. Obviously, in reality, it's a different story. I agree, but what I'm saying is that, technically speaking, on pretty much every level, we're talking about either politics, war, vaccination, hunger, you know, million things, religion, whatever, pop culture, this and that. As a general idea, everybody wants good. And regular people that just live their lives, they don't care about much. At the bottom line, they want good, right? So, how come it seems that everything is in turmoil and it's only getting worse and spinning out of control? If everybody wants good, everybody is like a progressive, uh, progressive individual that works for betterment of humanity. Why are we in turmoil, right? There's like million examples like that. History can tell you. So when I was talking about conspiracies and why I truly believe in conspiracies, and like I said, I don't believe fully in conspiracies, and I don't believe fully in anything. Doesn't matter if we're talking official story or whatever. I am very intrigued about anything and everything, and I do not have like absolute belief. Basically, I am open, and the reason why I am the way I am is because I've been taught on my own. Like I've been taught lessons of life on my own skin over and over and over for many years now. And like I'm a very flawed individual, and but in order for me to get better as a person, I have to see my flaws, to work on them, fix them, and basically improve. And it seems that today existence is that we scream about certain flaws, scapegoats. This guy did this guy did that. It's all because of this, it's all because of that. There's always somebody to blame, and there's always somebody to be a victim. But there's no true solving of the problem. There's no true solutions. And like I was saying with the masks, that solution, and I really don't want to be like don't want to be stepping out of line, but literally that solution as, so if we speaking literally, everybody wears a mask, we save a world. That's dumb. That's, I don't know, it's like the most abstract argument I ever heard in my life, and it really does not take much brain power to figure this out, that it really is not truly applicable. If we talking about true application of it, everybody needs to wear a hazard suit. You know how, it's like, all those perspectives are very hard to just truly swallow and be like, yeah, we are saving the world. And that's why I'm speaking up about it, and that's why I am vocal about it, and that's why I really want to create awareness that there is always multiple ways to find a solution for things. And I don't really have solutions to fix this problem as a whole. Obviously it's kind of complex, and obviously it seems like nobody really has solutions to fix this as a whole, because politicians and most influential people and all this sort of stuff, they basically virtue signal a lot, but are they really doing, and the vaccine thing, the elephant in the room, even I believe, even and I am speaking out of my ass, I'm not gonna say I have any real knowledge of it, But that's my belief, and yeah, maybe it's wrong to speak about belief, but I truly believe it. And am I wrong or right? I don't really know, but I just believe, and I'm pretty confident it's actually backed by data that the vaccine is not helping that much to begin with. Obviously, you will have a lot of convenience stories, this and that, that it shows, oh my god, it's proving so much. But if you really break down the numbers, it could actually prove that COVID is basically non existent or extremely mild virus that you don't even need a vaccine in order to better the numbers and make them better. But obviously, that's like cynical, skeptical perspective, but still, it's actually something worth looking into it. Obviously, things like flu disappearing, all this sort of stuff is not helping. False prophets like Bill Gates, that is basically making patents and making money off of this, and there's a lot of people making money off of this. That alone, a lot of people making money off of this, and it's the people that has already most of the resources to begin with. you know I hate to be redundant and I hate to repeat myself, but basically that's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to give my perspective as more of like a human type of understanding, because like I was saying, I learned on my own skin that in many ways, politically correct perspective can help, and it might give you a way ahead in life. But at the same time, sooner or later, the politically correct perspective is just like some sort of manipulative way of living that sooner or later repercussions of your actions will get to you. And that's the thing, it seems that today culture and people in general, they don't really want to face the inconvenient perspectives of all of this, and we need to focus on, so let's say, being a hero. All of this, it's all positive, and I'm not saying it's negative, it's positive. But if you being a hero and like sitting on the couch and and slowly but surely destroy the economy through hyperinflation, right? Slowly but surely destroy the small business, yada yada, give away all the rights, this and that, and at the end of the day, all those actions gonna lead to basically loss of any rights, tyranny, all this sort of stuff. Even virtuously speaking, you might be a hero, but then at the end of the day, all those actions basically put us in a deeper hole. How is that making any sense? And I made a episode about climate change. I spoke about it, and yes, that goes with the virtue type of idea. Yeah, technically speaking, saving the climate as a default is a beautiful premise, and how anyone would be against it. Yeah, it seems almost unbelievably, impossibly counterproductive to be against it. But once again, if you break down the whole story, and even please, if you never did so, please listen to George Carlin. He's already a dead. The guy is already dead, but he's one of the best comedians, period, in the whole entire planet. And his comedy is so great because, for most part, it's just true, honest type of perspective that is just frank, and it's basically the true, honest perspective that you cannot really argue. And he actually, he has a lot of bits about, germs. Even him talking about germs makes you think a lot about this current situation. But he also has a bit about saving the world, and basically he makes fun of the people that are saving the world. And let me say this before I go on with it. So we are affecting the environment in a very bad way, for sure. uh, are we the only cause, primary cause? It seems it's very possible, not for sure, but very possible. But are we completely destroying the environment? Is global warming only through us, or global cooling, or whatever the fuck it is? All those changes could be very much affected by us and caused by us, but it also could be only like a correlation. And in our planet's existence, the planet did get too hot, it did get too cool, has been struck by like a comet, meteorite, tsunamis, all this sort of stuff. So all this sort of stuff is at play on the planet Earth, regardless if we are there or not. So now is the question, how big of an impact we have? In my opinion, we have huge impact, but not really on global warming, on climate change. I believe for most part, I think climate change is like a natural type of cycle. But yes, we are destroying the environment, and that is completely different story. And is our effect or impact on environment affecting the climate change? Very possible, but it's not a sure thing. And where I'm heading with this, so like I was saying, it's the climate warrior type of thing, type of, oh, we fighting the war on climate now, saving the world. First of all, if you really focus on saving the world, it's just an abstract idea that doesn't even make sense, because, first of all, we are part of this planet. We do not own this planet, and we are just a small fraction of a whole ecosystem, and we have nothing to do with saving the planet. The planet can choose to basically get rid of us almost at any moment. We can coexist with the planet, and we can basically make each other stronger. That's a possibility. But saving the planet is just like an abstract thing that is basically a money grabbing machine, and also like deflecting the blame from huge techs to huge economies, huge countries, like a huge corporation destroying, and basically, so like the money system, consumerism, corporations, huge companies, huge countries basically are destroying the environment and are destroying the world. But with this saving the planet, CO2 pollution, they basically can divert the blame that should be basically on those people. It's either companies, countries, and special interest type of thing. But and if you compare average people as people by themselves as default, average people don't even have nearly as much, not even close as much of an impact as all the other factors or people that I said. And that's what I'm saying. It's just like reverse mentality type of thing, reverse psychology. Basically, people that are creating the problem, they basically are running from the problem and pretending to wanting to help. And they pretend to have a solution, limit the CO2 production. But the CO2 production, that's another thing that just please look into it, because I don't even want to break it down. The CO2 seems to be a scam, although I have heard some counter arguments, and it could be that actually CO2 has like legit things behind it. So don't get me wrong, that's why I want you to do your own research. But all the CO2, all this, so basically my whole rant about all of this, it seems that most people that scream and shout that they are helping, they basically are false prophets, and they want, you know just they have gains from it, they have special interests, they have some sort of um, benefit from it. And saving the world, all this sort of stuff, even that virtue signaling that, oh, let's say if you don't wear a mask, you are not supporting rest of the humanity. If you're not vaccinating, you are against the against the betterment of our lives, this and that. But you see people that, like politicians, if you look at their actions overall, they are completely against us. And it seems that huge number of moves of politicians and corporations, this and that, blah blah blah, yada yada, big tech, all this sort of stuff. It seems that a lot of the moves they're making, it's not really for us. Just because they scream and shout, oh, we are helping and we are making things better. But if you look at the whole picture, you see that, special interest, corporations, big tech, certain countries, can do no wrong, certain companies can do no wrong, certain big influential individuals can do no wrong, but then, you know, every single human is at fault and, is blamed for global warming, but we don't focus on the huge companies. And the same thing with the virus, the story keeps on changing back and forth, but it's pretty obvious it came out of the lab. Most likely, it seems it has been created, and one way or another, it seems like it was literally deliberate. And people are like, wear a mask, save a life. If you don't vaccinate, you're a terrorist. Do you see the point I'm trying to make? I'm just saying that things are upside down and people are focusing on wrong principles. So let me finish with this. Hopefully, I am making some sort of sense. The way I approach things, I basically try to break down everything to the simplest logic possible. And the example I'm going to give you is when I was fat, obese, unhappy, and now I'm not fat, definitely lost most of the weight. I still have a couple of pounds to go. I'm about 10 pounds overweight, roughly speaking. But the point I'm trying to say, when I was in a bad place in my life, all I was I was like a victim, and always was thinking like, oh, I never got a break in life, and I never pick myself by bootstraps, and I only would look back at what could have been, could have, would have, should have, and I would never really make a true honest effort to make things different, better. But how come I actually made all the so many necessary drastic choices, and I was able to actually come out of being 310 pounds going back to 210 pounds, losing 100 pounds? Definitely not by contradictory type of thinking, definitely not by being crazy mental person. And basically that's how I, like, even losing weight. So I broke it down to the simplest logical perspective, meaning I need to eat less. I need to eat more like a good, nutritious, healthy food that's real, and avoid all the junk food. Work out, find a hobby, physical activity, and basically, literally, it sounds almost too good to be true and too simple, but literally, I can only spit out few more principles, like I understood diet in a big way. I also had like a big motivational factor because at some point when I was really fat, I realized that basically I'm going to suicide myself with the food. So, there's a lot of smaller and bigger things, but in general, how I lost all the weight is because I broke it down to the most simplistic uh, logic type of possible with food. And that's how I do with my whole life almost. Not everything is like I don't do. Like, I'm a hypocrite, of course, and that's also why I make this podcast, because obviously I am a hypocrite and we all are hypocrites. It's just not every single one of us realizes that you are a hypocrite, I am a hypocrite, and every single one of us are hypocrites. But long story short, make a quick point is that the way I used to think before, even about the diet, about losing weight, I didn't see any point of it, and it seemed too complex, too much to do, too much to work. And then when I actually make the changes and saw my own hypocrisy, my own bullshit, my own double standard, then everything became exceptionally clear and simple to do and follow. But that's the thing, you have to put yourself in a position where you are more of a like a student, and instead of being like, oh, don't tell me anything, you actually have to open yourself to the world of possibilities. And long story short, even certain ideologies, like if, for example, oh, working out is a chore. Technically speaking, for many people it is. But if you set your life up in a way that you'd work out in a way that you love what you're doing, playing soccer, running with your kids, running with your dogs, going hiking, all this sort of stuff. Working out could be the best, uh, uh, the most beneficial experience, and at all spectrums. It could be literally like an enjoyable thing to do. And that's what I'm trying to say, like virtue signaling type of perspective is, in theory and as an idea, it might make sense. But when you break things down, and basically, also that's another thing, I'm trying to break it down. You need to break things down for yourself. You can listen to every single person and they can give you the exact specific formula. But if you do not break things down for yourself, you will be in the dark. And it doesn't matter if it's weight loss, mental clarity, mental health. Is it COVID? Is it propaganda? Is it conspiracies? Is it aliens? Is it religion, spirituality? You have to break it down for yourself, and you have to basically make an effort either way. Or you want to lose weight, you're not just going to get a pill and lose weight. You need to make an effort. And that's another fundamental truth to it all, is that in order to fix things, effort needs to be applied. And going back to the COVID situation, sitting on the couch wearing some piece of cloth on your face and calling yourself a hero, you're not fixing anything. And that's the whole hypocrisy of it all, is that those heroes are not even heroes. And and the terrorists that supposedly are like the vaccine terrorists or this sort of stuff, there is a very good chance that are they actually have some sort of point. I'm not gonna say they are saving the world, but they do have a point. So what I'm saying is, I'm gonna repeat myself once again. Putting in the work and looking into your own understanding and perspective is just the most crucial thing of it all. And just because something as a virtue or as an idea seems to be noble and impeccable under scrutiny, it does not mean it is so. And following the herd or following the mass or following groupthink mentality, it's also sort of like that. It's like a wave that you cannot really run away from, but it does not mean just because the wave is there, you have to follow it. But once again, we all are free to think I know that I don't know, and basically be safe out there, people. Just be aware of the whole situation with the whole spectrum. Starting from yourself, ending on the environment and situation we are in. Be safe out there. Hopefully, this was not a convoluted podcast that gave people maybe some clarity on my understanding of the whole situation and where I'm coming from. Peace out. Bye.